We still have 23 patients in the hospital, 22 on the surgical trauma service, and 1 medical patient.
Doctor, how many, earlier today there are 8 critical conditions. How many of those are still in critical condition? Are others still?
Yeah, we still have 8 in critical condition, so that really hasn't changed. I expect it might not for another day or so.
And can you describe in general what sorts of wounds and what that tells you about potentially what impact they had in the train?
Yeah. So the question is, what types of wounds and what does that mean about the impact? The rib fractures tell me that they rattled around in the train cars a lot to get a lot of rib fractures. We also saw some scapular fractures and long bone fractures of the leg and fractures of the arm. I was surprised, I think I told you this morning, surprised to see that we did not have much head injury. I thought a lot of folks were going to have head injuries. There was just 1 person with a head injury. So that was very good news. No, we have not found any conductors or engineers
Doctor, how
here.
about your staff? How have they held up? It has to have been a tiring 12, 16 hours.
Yeah, the staff have done very well. There were a lot of folks here last night, as you remember. We were able to swap a lot of people out when things calmed down and get the daytime folks in to help, so that really helped rest them. I sent a lot of people home purposely because I knew this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And they need to be able to take care of folks for the next 2 to 3 days. I'm doing good, thank you.
Doctor, can you tell us the name of the patient that died and where he's from?
Yeah, James Marshall Gaines III, Princeton.
Princeton, New Jersey. And what's the last name, if you don't mind?
Gaines, G-A-I-N-E-S.
How old?
You said you had 20...
49 years old.
You said you had 23 patients, currently 22 which were in medical surgery. Can you say that again?
Yeah, 22 surgical, 1 on the medical services.
22 surgical. And what's the difference of that?
Yeah, the surgical patients all have fractures, but not all will need surgery. So that's a point.
And then the medical patient?
The medical, I can't tell you the condition of the medical patient. That's a good.
How long
do you expect to have patients here and be treating them for the derailment?
Yeah, I expect over the next few days many more folks will go home, and probably at 5 to 7 days there'll just be a handful of folks left who are recuperating.
How are they?
Yes, we have no intention to transfer these patients. Yeah.
You said that
How are they going? Are they?
Oh, that's a very good question. The question is, how are they going home? There are a lot of folks here from out of town. In fact, there are a lot of folks here from other countries. There have been 4 Amtrak representatives on site for most of the day, which is extremely helpful because they're able to help the families with incidentals and hotel and transportation and that sort of thing. So Amtrak has been very helpful in making sure that they're cared for.
Are there any children?
No, we didn't see any children.
And in your experience, how does this compare to things that you've seen in the past, just the magnitude of something like this?
Yeah, I was surprised at the number of rib injuries. That surprised me, in the relative few head injuries. And I think we're fortunate that there weren't more deaths. I haven't seen the site yet. I know you've all seen the site in the pictures. I've seen just little glimpses as I go past the TV screens, but what little I've seen suggested things could have been a lot worse.
Did you have many lung fractures resulting from rib fractures?
Yeah, there were
lung punctures.
Yes, there were a number of folks whose lungs were collapsed or partially collapsed, although not as many as I might have feared. There were many folks who just had rib fractures but not collapsed lungs, and there were some bruised lungs.
It was reported that the train was going 100 miles an hour just before it crashed. Can you talk about how the speed affected the severity of the injuries that people said?
Well, yeah. The more speed, the more force you've got. So it did not help, certainly. Now, I can't tell you whether there was any difference between 100 miles an hour and 50 in terms of the injuries I saw. I just don't know enough to know that made the difference.
Do you know if there's any more patients expected to pass away?
I expect that won't happen. I think it'll be good results in the next few days.